5 o'clock somewhere, and it's almost 6 o'clock here in New York. I'm so sorry that we're joining you so late because I just did an interview with I'll tell you, with Senator Cory Booker, and we wanted to discuss what's happening in the world. We wanted to discuss what is happening around people like Byron Donalds, a congressman, also 50 Cent, and what is the administration and the campaigns. What are their plans moving forward about securing the presidency again, considering the poll number? So I really apologize. I really apologize. Listen, we were supposed to have Van Lathan join us, Van Lathan with that tweet that went viral yesterday, talking about the former president, who is, is talking about what's happening with. He says he's got the most white privilege ever. So the tweet went viral. So anyways, we're going to talk about a lot. And mostly what I'm going to do is, because we are so late, I'm going to spend a lot of time with you guys today. Again, I apologize. I'm sorry. You had me worried, I know, but when you have the opportunity to speak to Cory Booker, you take the opportunity. He told me a fascinating story about when he was sworn in as senator for the first time and getting a call from the former president, Barack Obama, and the former president actually using part of what he said in the speech that night that he was writing his speech for the State of the Union. So it's a fascinating conversation, and you're going to hear that soon. So again, I really apologize. But let's take you through the show. I want to take you through the show as if Van was here, because Van has his podcast. I'm still going to pump the brother up because I think Van is fantastic. Van Lathan has his podcast called Higher Learning, and Van was supposed to join us, and it's on the Ringer Network. He is a smart, funny. You remember Van used to be on TMZ. He was a correspondent and producer there, and he was part of. I don't know if you remember that's the day that TMZ went viral when Kanye West went off in the newsroom. Van Lathan was the one who led that conversation, the one who called him out. And Van you have to tune into his podcast, okay? So my apologies to Van because it went long. He says he completely understands, and you cannot, lose an opportunity to speak to the Senator Cory Booker. He has some interesting things to say about what's going to happen next with the administration and with the campaign, so that the president's message, the administration's message, including Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, said that this administration's message and their accomplishments reach the American people. Okay, so why don't we go through some of this, because I'm going to play, we're going to talk about, here are the topics that I want to talk about while we're here, and I'm going to stay a little bit longer today, so we'll see if live at 6 works, live at 5 Central Time, what happens there. We're going to talk about Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, as you know, is part of the Donald Trump booster club, I like to call it, as it relates to what was happening with the campaign. And he's out there every single day. He's out there every single day fighting for Donald Trump, fighting for the MAGA folks, fighting for people like Alex Jones. Well, now he has to report to prison. So we'll see what happens with that. He has to report to prison now. And I just want to get the information that I have here. Here we go. So that I can make sure that I'm talking to you about all the right things. Okay. So these are the things that we're talking about. We're going to talk about Steve Bannon, who is heading to prison. Also, Alex Jones, same thing. Alex Jones is losing his mind. Steve Bannon, the MAGA is melting down. Byron Donalds' comments on Jim Crow, and a broader conversation about the black vote in America. Okay? So I want to play this. This is from Van Lathan's podcast yesterday, and I want to play. It was earlier in the week, and I think it was on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, he tweeted this out, and this is what I want you to hear. Take a listen.
Another thing is we get to sit back and watch the dissonance in which the party moves with, to where every single thing that's done against Donald Trump is a conspiracy.
Well,
and every single mistake that he makes is not his fault. We've never seen anyone treated with the singular amount of white privilege that Donald Trump is being treated with. This is a masterclass in white privilege. Trump can't say enough to be racist.
Correct.
He can't commit enough crimes to be a criminal. He can't fail enough to be a failure. And he can't say enough stupid things to be stupid. He is so shielded and insulated by the idea and the concept of whiteness that he is untouchable.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now, a lot of you yesterday, really, when I played that, you related to what he was saying. Some people are saying, you know what, Don, I can agree with that, but it doesn't need to be racial. You don't have to put the white part in there. He is just privileged. I don't think you can leave it out. I think of course, he is privileged. I think Van is telling the absolute truth. I think in that short soundbite, he summed up everything. Nothing is ever Donald Trump's fault. He likes to call people dumb all the time. He likes to tell people that they are criminals and that they should be locked up. So what it is really is projection. Whatever Donald Trump accuses someone else of, he is guilty of that. He is guilty of that. And so I do believe, as I spoke to Tara Setmeyer yesterday, and she agreed to as well, that this is about privilege. This is about white privilege. As PK Harris is saying in the comments, that the white part is the entire point. It really is. Because if you can imagine, I can't even imagine, Cory Booker was just on, Senator Booker was just on talking about the former President Barack Obama. I can't even imagine if Barack Obama had done even a third of the thing, or just one or two of the things that Donald Trump has done, what he's been accused of, what he has been found guilty of. Can you imagine if Barack Obama is a black man, if that happened? I can't imagine the outrage in this country. Now, I want you to imagine if that was happening also with any person who's on the left, but especially with a black president. Would never, ever get away with that. Never get away with it. And I don't think that Joe Biden would get away with it either. Look at what's happening, how Republicans, the MAGA folks, are losing their minds about the president's son in court. The president's son is not running the country. He's not an advisor. He is a troubled human being. Every Democrat I have seen in print or on television or anywhere on social media have all said that if Hunter Biden is guilty of something, that he should be prosecuted. So not only does he have political MAGA privilege, but I do believe he has white privilege. And I'm so glad that Venkat Smith, who's in the chat, reminded me of the tan suit and how Republicans lost their mind when President Barack Obama wore a tan suit. But they are not losing their minds when a former president incites an insurrection. They're not losing their minds when a former president has an inappropriate phone call with the leader of Ukraine asking for favors and is impeached for it. They're not losing their minds when a president is impeached twice. They let him off. They're not losing their minds when a former president calls the people who are heading the campaigns, the election in Georgia, and ask them to give him votes, just to throw votes his way. That's illegal. If that's not election interference, I don't know what is. They don't lose their minds for that. They don't lose their minds when a former president is found liable for sexually assaulting a woman. They make excuses for it. They make excuses for every single thing that he does. It is never his fault. For all of the lying, never his fault. They don't lose their minds when a former president sleeps with a porn star and others, allegedly, has affairs while his wife is at home with a newborn baby. And then he lies about it on business records, campaign records. And then he is found guilty of falsifying those documents, 34 counts, even from people on the jury who are his own supporters, people on the jury who only got their news from his social media site. Untruthful Social. That's what I'll call his site. They don't lose their mind for a convicted felon. Now, if that's not privilege, then I don't know what is. If that is, if how can evangelical Republicans make excuses for this man? It's shocking to me how that is happening. It's shocking to me how the right MAGA folks are melting down. I spoke with Anthony Scaramucci yesterday. Anthony Scaramucci, by the way, worked for the former president, was a supporter of the former president. He is on the show that is up on our channel now that I encourage you to watch. This is what he is saying about the far right in America, in large part because of what the former president is doing, his messaging. He is co-opting them, and in turn, they are using him as well. Here it is, listen.
Whether you like the hard left or not, the hard left is less dangerous than the hard right. The hard left is at least like, okay, you know what? There's a democratic system. There's checks and balances in the system. I want to preserve that system. Now, they may want to go in a direction that the center-right people don't want to go in, but they want to maintain and preserve the system. You know, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it, okay? These hard-right guys are like, wait a minute, the country's becoming browner. The colorful mosaic of the country is becoming more beautiful and more colorful. Yes. Does that mean that brown and black people are going to run the country? Yes, likely because of the demographics. Okay, I'd like to change the rules. I don't want there to be a democracy anymore because I don't want that to happen. Okay, that's the underlying message of those people that are buying catheters and walkers from Fox News commercial interruptions. And so it has to be called out, Don. It has to be exposed, because when it's exposed, then people have to look in the mirror and say, well, I don't really want to, I actually think like that, but I don't really want to be like that. And that's where the change can happen.
So that is Anthony Scaramucci, or the Mooch, who, again, worked for Donald Trump, worked for the administration. Basically, what he is saying is that the MAGA folks are afraid of the blackening and the browning of America. The former president knows that, and he plays on those fears. He says that the people who are coming across the border, his words, because I interviewed him when he said it, they are raping people. Also, Anthony Scaramucci said that, the former president said that, but he actually said it on one of my shows. And I said, well, what's your evidence of that? And now that has happened, I'm sure. And he said on my show, when I was on CNN, who's doing the raping, Don? Somebody's doing the raping. So he has said that. So they gin up fear about black and brown people. The black people are stealing your jobs. The black folks are getting into universities. They're getting, and because of DEI, they're getting into companies. They're taking positions that were meant for you. When there is no evidence that any of that is happening. I'm going to do one day just a complete fact check on what DEI does. You know what DEI does? It actually helps white people too. It's not just people of color and women. It helps white people who are more qualified than some of the other people who may be getting positions because of favoritism. So DEI is protecting all kinds of people, not just people of color. Now, is it perfect? No. But I think it is, I know it has become a political cudgel. This whole wokeism thing, the word that has been co-opted by people. Now understand what it means now. And yes, you're right, GW's in the comment, merit-based. It protects people when sometimes it's not merit-based. Kyoko says the black, brown, and yellow have always been here. We just didn't get the same opportunities. So do you believe what Anthony Scaramucci is saying? Do you believe what Van Lathan is saying? That Donald Trump is operating in white privilege and that they are afraid of the blackening and the browning of America? Do you believe that? Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you think that is absolutely right, if you believe that. That leads me to, I am shocked, somewhat, not completely shocked. I am shocked that, wow. Hang on, before I get to that point. I just want to read some of your comments. I totally believe that, says Alish. Big Sis Chris says, obviously. Rhonda Covington says, of course that's true. Absolutely 100%, says Melissa BH53. Yvonne Young says, absolutely. Patricia Newell says, yes. Vera J. McCrae says, oh, yes. Kyoko says, absolutely. Marilyn Appleton says, facts. And on and on and on. Rachel says, Don, this is the fire. Speak. Thank you, Rachel, for referencing my #1 New York Times debuting #1 best-selling book. I appreciate it. Yes, I believe, says Norma Murick. So look, you guys appear to be in lockstep with what I'm saying. So that leads me to, I'm a bit surprised, not 100%, because I think that obviously every party, every administration can use some improvement. And I think the Biden administration and Democrats can use some improvement when it comes to addressing the issues of black and brown people. But I am surprised that, considering the position that the former president is in, considering the legal position that he's in, and all of the other court cases and just some of the things that he's done, I am surprised that he is, in the latest 538 poll, I think he's like 1.4 points behind Donald Trump. How is that possible? Maybe you don't believe the polls. I know you guys say that the polls are often wrong, but you can't discount all of the polls. So I am shocked by that. I am shocked by people, as I told you about yesterday, Byron Donalds saying that black people, Byron Donalds is a Florida Republican congressman who is African American, who says that black people were better off during Jim Crow than they are during the Biden administration under President Biden, which is shocking to me. And it should be shocking to you. I want to play this because 50 Cent, the rapper and entertainer and actor, 50 Cent is echoing what Byron Donalds is saying. Similarly, he's not saying they were better off, but he's saying that black people are all of a sudden attracted to the former president because of the hardship of his own making that he is facing now. This is 50 Cent at a MAGA event. Listen.
Have you made a decision?
I haven't.
What do you think is the significance?
Thank you.
Just last question. What do you see as the significance of African American men in this election for both of you?
I see them identifying with Trump.
Why do you say that?
Because they got RICO charges. And
Okay, so listen, I don't think he's at a MAGA event. My information may be wrong, but he does. He's in Washington. I see him there with Ben Crump. He said that people are relating to the former president because he has RICO charges. Black people are relating to him because they have RICO charges, which is putting issues that have to deal with African Americans in the context of criminality. Now, look, you can support who you want to, but if you're going to, then you need to have your facts together, okay? And the former president's son said almost the exact same thing as what 50 Cent said. Eric Trump, let's play it. Here it is.
They're literally feeding him, certain segments of the population that he might not have had in 2016 and 2020, because for the first time they realize that the system's coming down, that he's the victim. He's the victim that oftentimes some of their communities were. And you see them swing. You look at the African American vote, right? That's swinging over to Donald Trump in spades. Look at the.
Okay, so listen, that's part of a playbook. They're on message. And I think that because of that messaging, some people may be falling for it. I don't know. I would love for 50 Cent to come on this program to explain to me exactly what he means and why he's saying that, and whether or not he may be falling for the messaging on the right, or falling for, some of the messages that are out there, even from people who are not on the right. Because the show that we had on the day before yesterday, I forget when Sam Harris dropped. Earlier this week, it's up now. Sam Harris, he's saying something similar to what those guys are saying. He is not saying it's because of, RICO charges or anything, but he's saying if the former president wins, then it will be the Democrats' fault, people of color's fault because of DEI and other things. This is Sam Harris, what he said on our program this week. Listen.
But I do think that the far left, is in large part culpable for energizing the far right. I'm not saying that, there weren't racists before we had people like Ibram X. Kendi going around telling us that everyone was racist, but he's made matters far worse. And the promotion of that kind of narrative by at the highest points of culture, right? In media, in Hollywood, in nonprofit institutions. I mean, there's been a complete capture of elite culture by a very woke understanding of just how excruciating racism still is in America. And that, I think, has largely amounted to a gaslighting of much of our society. And it has, if we get Trump again for 4 more years, I'm largely going to blame the far left of the Democratic Party for that. I just think it's, everything from drag queen story hour to, just the endless, arithmetic around pronouns to, the Jussie Smollett and, the summer of 2020 and, just mostly peaceful protests on your own former network, all that stuff so gaslit people and enraged people right of center that we still have, in large part, I think that's why.
Well, it sounds like you're saying it's caused people to be racist. I don't know if I buy that, Sam.
Well, no,
I understand what you're saying.
It hasn't caused people to be racist. It's caused people to become very cynical and to lose their patience for obviously spurious claims of racism. And it's not just
obviously,
racism.
I mean, look, everyone. Okay, so here's the thing with that. He said, Jussie Smollett, as I said to him, everybody knew that, Jussie Smollett was not telling the truth. Okay. And that's unfortunate. That happened because, he says he's not guilty, but he has been found guilty of it. Everybody knew that. I knew it from the very beginning when it was happening. I knew from the very beginning. And everyone, even around him, knew from the very beginning. So that is one thing. The drag queen story hour is a different thing. I think that with the drag queens, as Flame Monroe said, they should be aware of how they're presenting themselves when they are doing the drag queen story hour. I don't believe that drag queens are trying to harm young people. Okay, so that's something that's small. The pronoun thing is a different thing as well. That is something that that people need to discuss. All of these things should be discussed. Everything that he's talking about should be discussed. But somehow those things are making people more racist. I don't buy that logic. I don't believe that you make someone racist by trying to correct ills in society and for trying to have equality in society. I don't believe that is happening. I think that's a convenient excuse quite frankly, for people who now, as Van Lathan was saying, as Anthony Scaramucci was saying, people who are afraid or who somehow fear, whether consciously or not, that they are losing their place in society, the preeminent place in society, their privilege in society. And now that privilege is feeling like discrimination. Now listen, it's broadly what I'm saying. I'm not saying that there aren't examples, particular examples where things can be true. But overall, I think that is shocking and an unexamined way of thinking, an unexamined conclusion. Because the racism that, the people did not come over as slaves because someone was accusing them of being racist, or someone was, trying to take their place here, or trying to, steal their jobs here. They brought them over. So people did not, slavery didn't start that way. People weren't, affected by Jim Crow and racism as African Americans, or weren't able to vote, weren't able to create generational wealth, were not able to get an education, were not able to be able to live in certain neighborhoods, red line, and on because of being woke. And those things still play out in society now. And so I think that is an uninformed and unexamined, lazy way of thinking. And I think, honestly, it's just from people, mostly white men, who feel like they're being discriminated against because the playing field is now being leveled. And they are somehow, consciously or subconsciously, they fear that they're losing their place. That's what I think 100%. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to read some of I see a comment from the Car Life says, "You're way off, Don. We are tired of people's lifestyle choices being pushed on the rest of us. It's not about race. You guys who want to keep talking about it and making us very sick of it, bro." Okay, so let's talk about that. So being gay is not a lifestyle choice. Being transgender is not a lifestyle choice. A lifestyle choice is, I want to take Ubers instead of taxis. I want to fly first class instead of coach. I want to take an airplane instead of a bus. I want to drink vodka instead of whatever. I want to live in the suburbs instead of the city. That is a lifestyle choice. Okay? So being gay is not a lifestyle choice. If being gay is a lifestyle choice, then being heterosexual or straight is also a lifestyle choice. So if you are straight, if you are heterosexual, can you choose to be gay? Can you choose to be transgender? Would you choose to go through reassignment surgery if you're not that? Would you choose to sleep with someone of the same sex or marry someone of the same sex if it is a lifestyle choice? That's not a lifestyle choice. So no one is pushing lifestyle choices to the rest of us. If someone is proud of being an Italian, then someone can be proud of being an African American. If someone is proud of being Jewish, then someone can be proud of being Muslim. If someone is proud of being straight, then someone can be proud of being gay. And to have a time where people can celebrate that for 1 month a year is not asking too much. When you consider how people of the LGBTQ community have been treated over centuries. So that's not a lifestyle choice. So if I want to have photographs of my family on my desk, or I want to talk about what I did with my husband on a vacation or our wedding, it's no different than a heterosexual person wants to talk about, wants to share that and celebrate that. Isn't that part of America? The American dream is freedom of choice, freedom of expression. So no one is pushing anything on the rest of you, on the rest of us. For the most part, what people want is equality. And for people like that car life to understand that if gay people want equal protection under the law, if gay people want to be able to hold hands in public, as many straight couples do all the time. I see them walking by my house. I see them in restaurants, sitting on the same side. I see them smooching. But if you see two women or two men doing that, then all of a sudden it's a problem. So why is that a problem? It's not pushing a lifestyle choice on anyone. Okay? So that's what I have to say about that. A man dressing up in drag is a choice, Don, said that car life. A man dressing up in drag is different than being transgender. Remember Jack Lemmon and, God, what's her name's dad? Dressing up in the movie with Marilyn Monroe. I think it was Some Like It Hot. That is a choice. Tyler Perry dressing up as Medea is a choice. The drag in Mrs. Doubtfire is a choice. Rudy Giuliani dressing up in drag for a Republican dinner is a choice. Being transgender is not a choice. So don't get it twisted. I am willing to discuss all of this with you, but I'm not going to let you get away with bullshit. Flip Wilson, here comes a judge. That's a choice. Thank you. Who said that? That was Tony Curtis. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Jamie Lee Curtis's dad. I love Mrs. Doubtfire. Robin Williams says Will Boot Jr. That's it. Thank you, Gia Brewer, for that. So men have been dressing up as women since the beginning of time. And by the way, men used to wear dresses and wigs. So I mean, I'm just saying. So other people expressing their want to be a part of America that is not deemed to be abnormal or weird because you are acting in a normal way for you, that's the problem. So if those folks can dress up, Martin Lawrence, you're right, dressing up as well. Martin Lawrence dressed up was a shenane. You're right, Geraldine Winky Campbell, thank you. Those are choices. But being transgender is not a choice. And yes, being a drag queen can be a choice to dress up like that and to perform. Dustin Hoffman and Tootsie. Thank you very much for that, Winder. There are a lot of so-called straight men who dress up in drag, but that's a totally different thing. Big Mama's House, Justin Ramo, thank you very much. So that really, I think, listen, I don't want to be cruel and seem like I'm picking on people, but I just want people to know, to be informed and to be educated. Dustin Hoffman and Tootsie, I saw that. And Hal Sparks, a lot of people do that. I just want people to be educated about what they're saying. Because they say ignorance is bliss. I don't believe it's bliss. Ignorance is ignorance, and it is harmful. Tom Hanks as well, someone in the chat says, right? So I thank you for that. I appreciate it. Now, I want to move on because, I mean, that really sort of disturbed me. I just want people to know and to be open-minded. And if you have questions about that, let's discuss it. Snug763 says white chicks, right? White chicks. Bosom buddies. That was Tom Hanks. Thank you, Watusis. I appreciate that. There are plenty of instances of men dressing up as women. Victoria, remember that? She dressed as a man, Andrews. She dressed up as a man in Victoria. I'm just saying, Julie Andrews, I'm just saying that is a choice. Being a drag queen is not a choice. Being transgender is not a choice. Let's see what ground I've covered. So I've talked about Anthony Scaramucci. I talked about Van Lathan. I talked about Byron Donalds. I just want to make sure I'm getting it in for you guys, okay? And we talked about Sam Harris and 50 Cent. I'm going to save something for the end for you because I think it's kind of funny and interesting. And yes, I'm going to be petty. So stand by for pettiness, okay? Call your friends and tell them. I want to talk about Steve Bannon. That's the breaking news. So Steve Bannon has been ordered to go to prison, okay? Steve Bannon has been ordered to go to prison. Here's the context, okay? It says this happened just a few hours ago. A federal judge ordered the former top Trump advisor Steve Bannon to report to prison July 1 to begin a 4-month prison sentence for defying subpoenas from the January 6th committee after a higher court rejected his appeal. By the way, why does it matter to you so much? Why does it matter to you so much? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Back to Steve Bannon. Bannon was found guilty on 2 counts of contempt of Congress in July of 2022 for defying the committee's subpoenas, but his sentence had been put on hold while he appealed the case. Bannon was sentenced more than a year and a half ago in October of 2022 to 4 months behind bars, the same sentence currently being served by former Trump advisor Peter Navarro, another MAGA in jail serving time, who also refused to comply with a January 6th committee subpoena. Okay? So this is Steve Bannon outside of the courthouse this afternoon, mere moments after learning that he's had to report to prison on July 1st. Listen.
There's nothing that can shut me up and nothing that will shut me up. There's not a prison built or a jail built that will ever shut me up. All victory to MAGA. We're going to win this. We're going to win at the Supreme Court. And more importantly, we're going to win on November 5th in an amazing landslide with the Senate, the House, and also Donald J. Trump back as President of the United States. Thank you very much.
All right. So Andrea says, lock him up, right? Make sure you hit the thumbs up, please, and the subscribe and like. So Kadame says he is gross. Okay, so listen, I'm not going to go there, but that's your opinion. Andrew Collins says STFU. I don't know if they're talking about me or Steve Bannon. But here's the context to that, right? Because he's saying MAGA, sort of long live MAGA, and they're going to win come November. This is just the beginning of Bannon's legal troubles. Bannon is set to go to trial on separate state charges in New York later this year in a case involving allegations that he defrauded donors who gave money to build a wall on the southern border. Remember that scandal? He has pleaded not guilty. Bannon had been charged in the same alleged scheme by federal prosecutors before Trump pardoned him just 2 weeks after the Capitol attack. Okay? So here's what Jonathan Swan tweeted. This is reporter Jonathan Swan. He tweeted this afternoon upon hearing this. He said, let's see, quote, "Don't pray for me, pray for my enemies." Bannon texted him a quote, right, when he reached out to him. Bannon texted a quote to Jonathan Swan when Jonathan Swan reached out to him, the reporter. He says, "Don't pray for me, pray for my enemies. Pray for my enemies. They're the ones who need it." This, of course, comes as Trump is literally musing about jailing his political opponents. That is some really scary stuff. So that is about Steve Bannon. Now, here's the thing. A Steve Bannon crony or pal, kind of twin-like, and definitely you can call him a conspiracy theorist because he was found guilty of it and has had one of the largest sentences, payouts that supposedly pay out in history, judgments in history. Okay? So this is about Alex Jones. Alex Jones spewed vicious lies about the Sandy Hook victims and families. Alex Jones may also, I think, also has to go to jail, and he is upset and he is pissed about it, and he is talking about it on his InfoWars show, and I want you to listen. Here it is.
At the end of the day, we're going to beat these people.
That's him crying.
I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. And these people hate our children. Just take more calls. Go ahead, there's the next person.
Okay, so that was Alex Jones crying. There was another soundbite of Alex Jones saying so many F words, I don't believe that we could put it on. If you have it, you can roll it while I'm talking, but I don't think we have it. But he is upset because he has, I think he has to pay over $1 billion. I think he has to pay $1.5 billion. And they're looking for their money. And there, I believe, will be jail on top of that. So he is crying on his InfoWars show about being treated unfairly when a jury found him guilty of a conspiracy theory or conspiracy theories that harmed the families of Sandy Hook. And there he is crying there. I don't understand why these people are addicted to victimhood. Steve Bannon is a victim now, he claims, of a corrupt system. Alex Jones is a victim now that he claims he's a victim of a corrupt system, that everyone is out to get him. Everyone is out to get them. Donald Trump is whining and saying that he is a victim of a corrupt system now. Everyone is apparently a victim of a corrupt system if you are part of MAGA. All the people who went on trial, most of them who went on trial for storming the Capitol on January 6th are saying that they are victims of a corrupt system. It's shocking to me that this has happened. Yes, I mean shocking. Shocking to me that they can say this when they call people of color, especially black folks, they say that we have a victimhood mentality. Everything they say is projection. Thank you, S. Jones, for supporting independent media. I appreciate that. And thank you, Andrea, for supporting independent media. MAGA, Andrea says, MAGA thinks they own the Supreme Court. You may have a point there. So what do we do? What happens? What do you do? I think you only have now a couple of choices. You get people to become more informed. You get them to subscribe to the show because we tell it like it is. What we say is based in truth and facts, not based on conspiracy theories. And you get people to go and vote. Jeannie Williams, gotcha, you're right. Gotcha. Vote, vote, vote. Dan Sabo, you're right. Vote, vote, vote. That's what you do. Now, I wouldn't normally tell people who to vote for or which side to vote for. But all I will say to you is vote for the people who believe in democracy. Vote for the people who are standing up to the people who are lying and co-opting people. Vote for the people who are not stealing the hard-earned money of some people who are living paycheck to paycheck to pay for their legal bills. That's what you do. So I appreciate you guys all tuning in today. I really do. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't apologize enough for being late. And hopefully it will not happen again. But I did have the opportunity to interview Senator Cory Booker, and it went long. And so you will hear that will go up on our channel soon. I thank you for supporting independent media. I tell all of your friends, everybody you know, your coworkers, everyone, to subscribe to the channel. We are growing by leaps and bounds. We want to continue to grow this community. And pretty soon we're going to reach 200,000 subscribers. And we're going to do that hopefully within 3 months. So under 3 months. So make sure you get folks to do that. Hit the thumbs up and check out our episodes that are up now. There's one with Anthony Scaramucci that's up that is fascinating. It's doing very well. There's also one with Sam Harris that's up as well that's doing very well. Okay. So that's right. We are strong. Thank you, Lemon Nation. Thank you, Lemon Heads. We appreciate it. Remember, it's Lemon Nation. It's one N. It's LEMONATION, not lemon and then nation. LEMONATION. Lemon Nation. That's what we call it. Okay. We didn't get a poll today. No, we didn't get a poll because we're late. And I'm sure the folks were scrambling around, the moderators and what have you. So we didn't get a poll, but we'll get some polls up. Okay. I'm glad you guys, make sure you check out our community section. Send us some comments on there and we'll respond. And if I have any messages from you, we'll put it there and we'll put it on social media. So, AKA Sunset Shining. I'm not sure what that is. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, everyone. Hit the thumbs up. Have a nice evening, says S. Jones. You have a nice evening too. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Tell everyone we're on every day at 5. If you want to be a part, we read your comments, even if we disagree with them. Even if you are, it doesn't matter what political persuasion you are. We want everyone to be a part of this elimination, but we want people to be courteous, or at least civil and respectful in the comments. You can get your point across, but please be respectful. Okay? We like to call people in instead of calling people out. All right? Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.